Okay, good morning. How's everyone doing? This is Simon with Trade and Perform Coaching. It is 8 a.m. on the 21st, Tuesday morning, excuse me. We had the day off yesterday, so we'll get that handled. If you'll take a moment to read this really quickly, I appreciate it. Leave it up for 5 seconds. Hey, Randy, good morning. Okay, cool. So no changes on the algo over the weekend. We're working on stuff, but we don't have anything. Welcome, Brian. I'm sorry. I knew I forgot something, and your name reminded me. Hold on. You sent me a message. Brian, can you tell me how many days you have loaded, and whether it's the algo or on just the manual trading charts? If you'll fill in the questions there that I had. And then we'll talk today somewhere between 10:30 and 11:30 today, if that works for you, and try to get things resolved. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So next, what I want to show y'all. Okay. So first of all, volatility is back, right? Trump made a comment about tariffs in Mexico and Canada last night, and we promptly dumped, I think, 300 points. Let's see. So this is about where he made the comments, and we went from 21,694 to 21,391. So 300 points, and then we came straight back up, right? If y'all remember from his first term as president, this was pretty much the norm, and you were looking for the terms. Okay, so to give you an idea of how the algo performed in that, which is always important. Here, I'm going to drop this in Sim for a second. So there's always two ways to look at it, right? How would I do it? How do you do it? How do we prepare if there's a lot of volatility? What do we do if we don't have a lot of volatility? So on the trader assist, right, the first thing I'm looking at is if the VIX is over 20, right, we have a negative correlation of returns to trades, right? And we're just going to have to figure out a little bit different game plan, but it's very hard to maintain it over 20. So I would not be overly concerned about that, right? In the case of August, it lasted pretty much, there was 2 bad weeks. The beginning of August was okay. The end of August is the 2 weeks in the middle. And yeah, we'll adjust. So if you look at last night, right, you can see that, so this is where he made the comments. Because now you have an idea of what happens when the volatility goes nuts, right? So we had a short fire here, right? That paid. That was at 1856 Central Time. And then here we'll go a little bit further back to see if we got clipped. So there was where the comments came out. Here was your a stop on a short at 1704. 1710, whatever that is. There's your next short. Obviously that paid you very nicely, right? No long off the bottom, just didn't get it. And then as it comes along, we go through this consolidation. You get a stop right here on the long, and then you grab the reversal right there back to the upside and get paid. And I think there's one more stop in here overnight somewhere. Okay, so that's how it would trade if I was trading perfectly, right? Not getting upset about stops, just taking my trades as they come along. This is what it would look like, right? I'd be infinitely patient. I could sit here for hours. I wouldn't get clipped. My stops wouldn't bother me. There would be a stop, right? That would be a break-even stop. I think it goes far enough to get break-even or small -7. And then there's nothing left there, okay? So that's one way to look at it. So now the next question is if we go to volatility, how do we handle that volatility so that we don't get eaten up in our manual trading, and how do we adapt, right? So I was talking with Ed last night explaining how do I adapt quickly if there's high volatility, and what's my plan if there's just normal everyday markets. So normal everyday market I've got covered, right? I'm just going to let my trader assist run, and then what am I doing manually? So first, if you'll notice, I try to go to some basics, because what happens is your brain gets overloaded with too much information on how to trade. So look at things pretty simply. We had pretty good volatility last night and into Friday. This does not work 100% of the time, what I'm about to show you, right? It's just helpful is all it is, right? So if you look when this thing goes berserk, and I go, first thing I can say is I want the turn bar to be green or white and pointed in the direction that I want to trade, right? I'm not giving you the final solution here, but I am telling you that we get overwhelmed as humans trying to get too much information and figuring everything out, right? So if I look in here, and let's say I traded that last night, and let me tell you, the market was massively illiquid last night. I was sitting here watching it. You're basically talking about one contract, if that, per tick, right? So anyone tells you they nailed 100 contracts or 200 contracts in NQ on the turn, they're full of shit. There was no way to do it. There wasn't even 100 contracts offered within 100 ticks, right? So first thing, if I'm looking, what I want is a white or green bar in the direction of. That's the first thing. I have to give my brain an order to follow so I can follow it under pressure, right? So the market starts coming down very quickly. And let's pretend you could have traded this. So I want you to notice the time. It's 1851, 1851.19, 852.15, 52.28, 52.50. This is fast, okay? This is fast. Okay, I suggest if you see something like this, you hit trade lock on your trader assist. Number one, for those of you who have it, realistically, no one could have traded this manually accurately. Okay, you're just going to get slipped. That's all there is to it on your stops and on your entries. But if you look at it from a theoretical standpoint, right, I go, oh, I got a white bar in my direction. It retraced a little bit. I can get long. And this is enough to get out of a trade profitably. These are 24 tick charts. This is a 15 to 25 point trade. I'm not going to go and measure it. It takes too long, right? So now I have an idea. I want to trade the white bars or the green bars in the direction of. So if I trade here, let's just call this a 20 point stop. This is 20 to 25, right? You don't get any extension on it. You don't get a trade here. You get the green bar here in the direction of, a little bit of retrace, and you got about 50 to 70 points on this move. 2 bars up, white bar on the turn, starting to see the theme, right? So if I'm looking long, right? So this also assumes you're not trading like a computer. So let's pretend like I was like, oh, that's the bottom and it's long. Let's play it that way instead of the shorts, because the shorts paid, right? So let's play it contra. I think the market's going to bounce back up. This is BS news. Stop. Stop unless you scaled for 10 points. Stop and scaled small and break even, right? And then I get the turn. Right now, I want to make a distinction between manual trading and the trader assist, right? So the trader assist has targets set up above, right? So like on this one, this is just a full stop. This one's a scale and a stop. This one doesn't get, I don't think it gets, maybe it gets taken. I don't think it does. Maybe it does. I'm not sure. But let's say it did get taken with the way we have the stops and the exits programmed. It gets 10, 20, and maybe 50 here, which pays for this one and this one, right? So those two get paid for and you're a little bit profitable, right? Then you go back to it. This is a stop. This is a stop. Now, if I trade these manually, right? This is a stop. This is a stop. What I'm trying to explain is what I see people doing, right? They're so, by the time it's rolling down, they're so afraid they're just going to get hammered each time. They actually never get the 20, 30, 50 on the upside. They just exit it for 10 points here and they go, oh, I won. They get stopped here. They exited for 10 points here because they got stopped over here and over here, and they never get paid. That's one thing that I've learned is very few people actually end up grabbing this turn and holding this turn, even though when we explain it slowly in coaching or in a situation like this, very few people actually end up going, oh yeah, I got that, right? So that's one difference that I've learned is the thing that Trader Assist does is just does the same thing over and over, and it makes it see where my personal weaknesses are because I don't do the same thing over and over. So that's the first piece, right? And let's say you'd been bearish on the way up, right? Flip the story. And look what happens. What I'm trying to get y'all to just do is look. I'm not even trying to give you a trade setup, right? I'm just going, hey, I want a green or white bar on the turn to get short, right? So let's say I was mega aggressive, stop, right? I'm like, oh good, it's bouncing, I'm looking for my trade. Paid, paid. I'm not even going to our rules, you'll notice, right? I'm giving my brain a very simple order to follow. Follow the white and green bars in the direction that I want to trade, right? I'm not even adding, is there an algo above it like this? Is there no algo? Those are telling me I'm not doing the stuffed bars even. I'm making it simple for you to go and look and go, hey, when do I want to trade? Because these, if you follow this process, right, stop, and you'll notice if the market isn't moving at a mega fast rate, that works just fine. Now, if you go back to Friday, right, same idea, market opens up. I need a simple way to follow. Now, these are 24 tick, right? Market's up, white down, green up, white up, white up, white up, green down, right? Starting to see a pattern. I can isolate on one specific type of bar without even really paying attention to where I am on the chart or within the channels, right? And so let me tell you, so the natural question is, well, Simon, why don't you just algo it, like get the trader assist to take it? And let me tell you what the problem is with this, okay? Stop, right? And the problem with the trader assist, if it takes all of these, is that the exits aren't structured, right? Like you can't get it to go, oh, well, if I trade here and it's only 2 bars, and if I trade here it's 5 bars. It's too random in the way that it trades, right? So that's the difference, and that's why when we algo it, we just haven't been able to. We've tried to. We just don't have all the pieces lined up yet. We're working on it, but it's not there. But from a manual execution standpoint, right? If I trade 3 contracts here, long, and I get stopped, right? So that's minus 22 or 20. Let's just make it 20 for easy math. I've lost $1,200, right, on 3 contracts. If I trade here, and again, what I'm trying to do is get to 15 or 20 points, right? So I'm essentially break even between these 2 trades, which is why you have to have an idea of where you're trading, where you're trying to take the trade, where you want it to go, right? Which is where the locations help out. So that's step 1. Step 2 would be if I get like a green stuffed by a white bar, that is very, very good, right? It leads to big extensions. I'm trying to teach y'all, right? I'm trying to teach y'all how to scalp through that for manual execution, right? So now the order I would do that in is bar in the direction first, stuffed bar second. I think stuffed bar probably has a bit higher failure rate, and it's very easy, green and white, and then of course just use edges, stretch, and where the support resistances levels are. That makes it very, very easy to make a determination as to where you want to trade if you'll wait for that, right? So now I want to tie in what I want to tie in next. By the way, there's no econ, no Fed speakers, and that usually argues for balance, but we have Trump who's inevitably going to say something, right? So just don't be shocked. It's just, if you see the market jump huge or fall huge, Trump said something. Dollars to donuts, right? And it's fine, no problem. Okay, so next. If you'll notice on this 60 tick chart, right? When you go back here, I'm just going to choose Wednesday. This is fine, right? And what I'm looking for is the white and green bars with a square on it and a square within it. So like this orange, everyone has this. All you have to do is convert it to a 60 tick. I sent it out as a 24, just convert it to a 60 tick. So see, as we're coming down here, when we're coming down, this is my last biggest seller, this guy right here, right? This guy's big, has a green square. There's nothing more powerful than a green square. This is a 60 tick. This purple line is the point of control. This purple line is the point of control of that. But all you have to do is this. Really the one I want is this one. I want the last one. He's the guy that's trapped, right? So I can see a couple things. This guy was a seller. When I closed above him, they lifted, right? So this is the procedure. This is what I want to happen. I want them to get above them, come back in on the 24 tick, and lift. So see that at 10:31 on this day? This is the same trade. This is that zone, right? So see how it comes in, and I get this green bar up out of it immediately. So that green bar travels from roughly 85 to 12, which is 85, 95, 25, 27 points, somewhere in there, right? Rough math. Okay, that little move. Comes back in here, I get this green bar, stop. That's going to cost me 20 points, right? Or just the reversal bar, because it should really do this. It shouldn't close back in on it like this, right? And then trade 3, I want an algo in the direction I'm trading. Now, I don't get a white bar, but I do get a yellow dot, which is good, out of support. And that one lifts all the way up, as you can see. Very good trade. So to summarize, I want to highlight those areas on the 60 tick, and then I want an algo in the direction that I want to trade, which is against. And had it fallen underneath here, like if you got an orthodox close underneath, backside tested and fell, that works just fine as resistance the other way. I'm going to give you another example. So see over here when we bounced, and I'm going to go, well, where's the resistance? So see I have these guys, but this guy was a seller. He's okay, but this is my last buyer right here. He had a green bar, yellow dot, plus sign. I'm going to mark that off. You can bet dollars to donuts when you get to this guy, everyone's going to have a hard time. So we're going to go back over and go, oh, I'm long. Now I have a target back up. I get to my target back up. I get a green bar stuffed. And if you look through here, so now watch how it traded through, right? Initial touch, rejection, white bar down, enough to get your risk off, but you got stopped. White bar down, stopped. So the first thing we know is it doesn't work every time, right? Those are pretty good bars. Now when it gets above this, what I would say in the room is, oh, if we backside test and you get an algo in the direction of, you should have a long. It gave a green bar stuffed, bar up. It gave you a trade to the long side. Now let's see what happens. Back in, white bar up, stuffed. White bar up, and you got the long, right? And if you'll look where they probably came back into the POC over here, right? And now if you limit your trades, if you limited your trades to, so remember we have two options. I can get the bar stuffed, or I can get the bar in the direction of. The easiest way is to take the bar in the direction of. So if you go through this whole process over here, right, you ended up with either a scale and a break-even stop, or a stop, depending on how you managed. Stop, right? Stop. None of these scaled, right? So you'll see the ones that have the best time. So you go, hold on, wait a minute. What I'm noticing is when I look at it is the ones that are the best, because I know the concept works. See that? So this is where the work comes in. I know the concept works. So if the concept works, right? Now what I need to do is go, oh, look, I notice that when I get an algo down into these, right? An algo up into this, and then it gets immediately stuffed, that it does okay, right? Algo down, up, and that the best one has an algo on both sides. I can start to eliminate, and the best traders will get down to what specifically am I looking for that I am willing to trade, right, on these backside tests. The next thing that's pretty important here, and as I told y'all I would be picking up as I let the trader assist take up more and more trades, ODTE calls and puts. I'll start that in probably February 1st, right? But there's an important part to this call and put issue. If I can be pretty confident and control my wins and losses, I look at it as an all or none proposition, right? But I know this is support. If I start buying my calls and puts down here with a fixed loss, meaning, let's say I'm going to trade one futures trade in here, and let's say my loss is $1,000, right? And I say instead of futures, I know this generally acts as support, and I'm allowed to have 3 shots a day at my trading plan, right? So I have to still have an idea of where the market's going, but I buy my out of the money calls here. This little move right here is a double or a double and a half on that little move, right? If I shorted this, I'm going to lose money in here because it's going to come all the way back, and I'm just going to get smoked on that. I'm going to lose my $1,000 over here. If I come back in here, and let's say I'm early and I don't wait for a deep test, I'm just taking it off the top, right? This thing's going to drive behind me a little bit. I'm going to lose money. But then on this pop-up, well, this is Asia, so we wouldn't do it with 15 minutes left to go. But hypothetically, you'd say, that's where I want to get the long to push up out of there back to the upside so that I get a move like this, right? So there's two pieces of knowledge. A, these off the 60 tick act as great support resistance levels in real time. Secondly, what do I need to see in order to trade that out of that level from a 24 tick perspective, right? And you already know what the best setups are out of that 24 tick perspective, right? And then you can trade with confidence. The other thing you'll notice, right, what I notice is when you get these reversals, if you'll see when it comes out, see that's the reversal bar, but see how the green bar and the white bar in the direction? So look, let's say this is your reversal. You wait for the next white bar up. This is your reversal. Next green bar up. These are all your reversals, but you don't take them, right? And you wait for the first green or white bar in the direction that you're trading. Again, 15 to 20 point stop. Probably most of this works on a 15 point stop. And you get the massive push. That's where your R comes from. So, coming into this morning, right, where are my levels? You'll see this morning, the reason this level is marked off is because I had this green bar down right out of the gate. So I know two things. An orthodox close above 217.39, right? Backside test into this. I need the reversal and the push. That gives me the indication that the market's going to push out. If that fails, right, my next level, I have a seller stuck right over here. That's one of my strongest bars, green bar with white off the 60. I'm going to highlight that. That should be my zone right there. And you know the 2 points of control are right here, so I'm going to highlight this even further. Here's my two POCs. If you can't see that, let me see if I can fix this. Okay, there we go. So specifically within that, the points of control, if you want to get to the nitty gritty, right there. And I'm looking for obviously a algo up out of that, preferably an algo down into this. And if that fails, well, what's next? Well, I have this guy over here, but I'm going to let the green bars cover it. So down here I have nothing. So now I have to go back to the left and see what's underneath there. Notice all the green bars are showing up in the same place. And I just have nothing that shows up specifically. It would be, this is the last guy, he hasn't been tested, so I'll get rid of this. This is going back to Thursday, and I would say it's this guy right here. Here. So this is easy. That's where all the volume is. Right in there. And if I draw a point of control off of those, it's this. So wherever that lands, 21,335, right? And again, I'm not just buying into there unless I'm trading options, right? And I'm taking a controlled trade. Again, I'll start focusing on that in February. Now we come back, and now I've got my levels, right? Now that I got my levels I can work off of. So my question would be, well, if I was working off of this, how do we figure this one out over here? And the answer is we don't. They just turned it over here, right? They just turned it on process, right? But there was it just didn't run into anything. We needed it a little bit lower. And what happens there, you can tell that this is a support area, right? Obviously, they were coming off the very top of this. See that right up there? That's what this is coming off of, right? And it never got to where the volume build is. And sometimes that happens when there's too many people in the trade. So now, when I come over here, I gotta take my trade out of sim. It's 5 minutes till the open. I'm out of sim. There we go. Hold on a second here. Chart, duplicate chart. Chart book. And again, the chart book I'm running is BNQ24T, orange square entry, turn bar 1, 12, 25, 24 tick. Okay, so now you can see when I'm in here, right? I get orange bar, I get green bar, plus sign, yellow dot up, and I get it rejected. I don't get the color bar on the turn. So it's okay, it's not great, right? It's okay, it's not great. Now on this chart here, this is where my, I have the 24-hour chart. This starts at 5 p.m. Central Time, this chart. So I can see where the fair and unfair value has been building overnight and throughout the course of the day. And I can see how that'll change intraday, but I already know in general where my fair and unfair pricing is listed, right? And then there's always the RTH, which is this one right over here. Where's my NQ profile? This profile, NQ profile. Did I just, let me see if I screwed this up. Hold on. So here we'll fix this. Chart, duplicate chart. F5. Session times. Oh, there's 8:30 to 1500. So where's my 24-hour? That's the duplicated. Here, let's do this. No. And then do $16. Session end time 15. Starts at 1600, ends at 1500. That's fine. Close enough. Not much volume goes off in there. So that's what it looks like on a 24. This is, I don't understand. That chart is identical. What am I doing here? F6, 24 hours. Hold on one second. No, 1600. End time 1500. F5. Session times 8:30 to 1500. Man, that's so weird. Oh no, it's fine. It'll start at the same time. They just look identical right now. Sometimes they don't. What I want to see from this, am I doing this backwards, guys? What I want to see from this is where we are overnight, so I have an idea of where the unfair pricing is, right? So, hold on one sec. That says that's what I'm doing. Ah, I see. There's the RTH. Okay. So this is 24 hours. This is RTH. And now I have a very clear idea over here of where from 24 hours, all this is my unfair pricing above, unfair pricing below, single prints from last night. So this is from Asia to current, right? And then of course, as soon as we open, we'll start a new profile. Over here, this is an abbreviated session. Yesterday's data should just be thrown out, frankly, and you're really going off of Friday. So we're at value area high over here, value area low and below, and we're looking at value area or below from that location. So now I've given you 3 areas to look at to trade from, and I want to be clear about this, okay, so that no one's confused. This gives you the best indication when you get those white bars off the 24, when you get the green bars in the direction of, this gives you a great indication when it's at the turn, right, especially on the edges. Remember, these are 60 tick bars. This is a move from 78 to 42. It's a lot of money, and it retraces back up on the bar, right? So use the same principle with the 50 tick, right? Use the exact same principle with the 50 tick, 60 tick, as you are with the 24 tick. I want a turn bar to lead me in. I want a turn bar to lead me in, and now I know that I have resistance off of that. Work higher time frame to lower time frame, and then use the profiles to assist you. So, any questions, guys? Okay. And then just relax, right? It's the first day of a full day of the market open that's not a holiday with a new president who likes to talk, right? Who likes to make comments. Really, what we learned from the last Trump administration, if you go back and look, is the tape would get bombed, right? And you're looking for a long out of those tape bombs, right? Out of proper setup, right? Let them bomb it. It's okay. So everyone's all giddy on, if you've been reading about, I don't want to go into making market predictions. It doesn't matter, right? Right now we're not in a bear market, right? Here, if you need any help with that, here's there. We're not in a bear market. Just isn't. Here, I'll load more days. There. We're not in a bear market. We're in a balanced market. There's 24 hours, and that goes all the way back into December, right? We're just in a balanced market. Top of the range, bottom of the range, and middle of the range. Pretty straightforward. So trade accordingly, right? It's a good trading market. It really is. Just watch the illiquidity if news hits, right? What are your tools? You can lower trade size, right? You can lower trade size. You can choose not to trade, or you can trade on process, which is the one I will choose, right? Maybe lower trade size on my personal account. And that's that. So I'm going to flip that back now that we know. As soon as it's done doing what it's doing, because it doesn't like all this data. Days to load. 5. By the way, do not load up your charts during the trading session with massive amounts of information. Just doesn't do you any good, right? Had all these because I was looking backwards. You should load them to 3 actually. I'm going to do the big ones a little bit bigger because I need to see where the numbers are. Pretty tight balance so far. And spread is okay. Not great. Okay. You're getting green bar on the turn, right? Choppity chop chop chop. You have a green bar down, white bar, green bar down on the 60 tick. That usually gets some follow through to the downside, so just keep that in mind. See that? White with green down created the zone. We rejected out of the zone. There's your green bar on the turn, right? There's your roll to the downside. Into the 200. Again, this is where my support is, down here in this 21,613 to 21,555. Right, that's a 60 tick. So that's going to be, this is my target down here, right? Below the 200 on the, why is this NQH over here? Oh, because I fixed this. Wow, that's weird. Okay, hold on. I fixed this. I was wondering why this looked crazy. There we go. Sorry about that. Wait, what am I? I can't believe I just did that. Sorry guys, I'll fix that. Why do I have a 10 tick Renko on here? F5, because I put data limiting instead of 40 bar period, data limiting 10. There we go. And I will fix this later, but for now, right click, duplicate chart. Right in there, F5. Six tick today. There we go. So again, if I'm looking for a bar to lead me into the long, coming down to the target area, that 160, 1600 to 25618, and then what am I looking for? Algo's into here to get stuffed, or a bit more conservative, the algo in the correct direction, right? What gave me the clue that we're rolling down? Green bar, white bar down, green square, white bar down, right? So right when we get into this area, right, it is likely that we're going to find some buyers in here somewhere, right? Makes sense, correct? White bar showing up. Why is it stopping here? Because all the volume is in there. We get a green bar up possibly. I've got my ALGO triggered for the long. Got scale 1 off. On the longs, so we looked at the data. The longs are the ones that are having the hard time getting the extension. So you may want to consider bringing in like a 10, 20, 30 scale on the longs instead of a 10, 30, 50 scale because they're getting stuffed, right? And you already know if you get a white bar on the reversal, right, just you can flat it out, right? So also this will now act as support. So see how we were able to go, hey, we have resistance up here. This is where the old green bar was stuck. We have support down here, right? And tie those two pieces together. Does that make sense? So this should act as support on a backside test. What do you want? I'll go up out of here, right? Does that make sense what I'm explaining, guys? Is this following through, team members? And we're in fair pricing we're inside fair pricing. We came down to test the gap from, is it Friday? The close from Friday, we did not get into unfair pricing. And from the 24-hour perspective, the fair pricing is should just have the computer draw out the line for me, but I'm stubborn. Fair pricing began at 21,572, and we just missed that, right? We just missed that down. Notice when you're getting the white bars on the turn, green bars on the turn, you're getting an opportunity for follow through, right? From a scalping perspective. So Dan, that should be ticking with you, right? Not every time. You still want to match up location and all that other stuff, right? And what do we want on the turn bar? Green bars on the turn on the higher time frames, right? So now we know we got on the second bar, we want it on the first bar. Doesn't preclude it from going back up, and you can tell all the volumes building up in that 21,693 area, right? And if we get underneath this, release for continuation lower. And you should have gotten your scales off and be free riding if you didn't flatten it early like I did. And your entry was from 606 and you're at 635 right now. So you should have gotten maybe your 30. Did anyone else get 30 on their scale? So Jason, how are you handling it? Are you just gonna see if it'll ride and hit your two scales up at 30? I guess you're about to get it right now, right? You flattened. And that's fine. It's a nice little way to start off the day. And I just didn't have time. I meant to adjust the scales out to 10, 20, 30 on the longs. Because that would have gotten you, so this trade, I think we just hit 30. The entry would have been, let's call it 05, and it went to 35, right? So at 10, 20, 30, you would have gotten $200, $600, $1,200. Because I flatted, I have $820 on my account. Right now, I want to remind everybody, play to the type of account you're trading, right? Cash accounts, just let them ride. The numbers shake out at the end of the month. We have a new algo that's, it's not a new algo, it's a modification on an algo we already have, right? It's kicked out the best numbers yet in terms of any month. The problem is it's down month in August. It's still negative 15K. So we need to go back and look at what we did to fix the other algo for August versus what we did, and look at the other algo for August where we whittled down the loss for the month to 2K. Now I'm positive we have a new algo that won't let us trade outside of value area high, value area low for the 24 hours. So when you look at this, it just won't take a trade inside the 24-hour blue area. It's only going to trade up here, and it's only going to trade down there. And if you look in August, visually, that flips it. The back testing is very tedious on it because the recalculation on the value area high as it goes through the day takes the computer forever. So we'll be working on that. It's just going to take us a little bit of time, but it'll improve. The key point there is if VIX flies over 20, I would shutter or reduce size on the trader assist to offset the loss. Now remember, if you have an account where this latest numbers where we came up were for the month, thank you again to Ed for the hard work. He's doing some stuff that's just freaking blowing my mind. Where's the spreadsheet? Maybe you directly posted it to me, Ed. Okay, this was for December 17th through, this is 1 month going back to Friday, and the P&L was $39,000. So the reality is, if you have a month where you have $39,000, so you get all three scales. Obviously, I marked down in my journal I was wrong to flatten this one, but I'm okay with it. It's a good way to start the day. I marked down in my journal that, you know, a $15,000 down month, right, is okay against a $39,000. We've had other algos that were up for December $25,000 to $27,000. So from a cash perspective, you know, that's all about scaling up and down on your size, what you can handle. That's acceptable. So all we're trying to do is fine tune it to minimize damage when it doesn't work versus reinvent it, right? The good thing is the model works almost all in its entirety, right? I don't have to sit there and quote unquote figure it out, right? Which is good. That's a good thing. So that's what I'll continue to work on. Now see up here where you know that all the volume for resistance is up here, right? What you're really hoping if you're looking for a short is you hit back up in this area, right? Off the higher time frame, 1, 2, 3. You can really lower it just a bit because you know you got volume in here. This guy's your seller, so it kind of looks like that, right? So see how we tagged it, white bar down, and now we'll see what happens. We're not bearish. We're not trading. So really the line in the sand today for, wow, that's really surprising, would be getting below Friday's low over here. And until then, we're really looking for responsive buyers in a general way out of this area, right? And then you can see the 24 hours beginning at 21,572. So 21,572 is the first place you go fishing. And then below that, it's between, and it's almost the same area. It's 560 against 480, right? And then you can see there's just tiny little excess right there at the bottom near 480. And guys on YouTube, thanks for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow. Y'all have a great day. Thank you.